हाँ जी सर, मैं बोतल रखूँ सर, ठंडी नहीं है, ये नॉर्मल है। मिक्स करना पड़ेगा, मिक्स कर देते हैं। ठीक है। हेलो हेलो हेलो।
गले वाला नहीं, हनी टच आता है टैबलेट। लेके रखे रहना थोड़ी, अभी कौन कैसे जाओगे क्लास में। Hello everyone. Now we are going to start Hobbes, Thomas Hobbes, a British philosopher, and we have completed Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli. And see, look the time frame of Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes, one of the greatest British philosopher, phases 1588 to 79. This means Thomas Hobbes, a philosopher who born in modern age, who is a modern in fact in his orientation, just like a Machiavelli. See, Machiavelli is also laying down the foundation of modern age. Let's see. If I am saying that any scholar belong to modern age, we can identify some basic ideas. Any scholar who is writing in the modern age, there may be few differences, but more or less some similarity we can find out. And what are similarity? Any modern scholar, more or less, they will focus over rationality. Modernism means reason. Modern era means era of reason, era of rationality. Therefore, obviously in modern age, importance of realism will automatically decline. Not only in Machiavelli, but in Hobbes too. And in that way, if we are accepting that reason is the fact of life, obviously there will not be only decline of reason, decline of realism, but obviously we are moving towards secular idea. Therefore, you can find out a very interesting similarity between Machiavelli and Hobbes. Machiavelli, modern, and Machiavelli also said that human beings are having reason, looking for maximization of self-interest. Similarly, Hobbes also believe in the reason. Hobbesian idea of secular, likewise of Machiavelli, and the modern scholar believe in the idea of a nation state. The era of a city-state is gone, and now state is no longer fragmented in the various smaller communities like in medieval age. So in medieval age there were different centers of power. That is reason modern age is a age of a sovereignty. The idea of sovereignty emerged in modern age. Idea of sovereignty emerged in modern age. Therefore, we can find out these ideas in Hobbes. So that is logical to read out any thinker. If I am saying that somebody belong to Greek age, therefore their idea may be moral. They will believe in city-state. And what is the purpose of their life? Obviously, moral, virtuous human life. But here, in modern age is a age of materialism. Modern age is a age of materialism. So obviously, modern age doesn't believe in the idea of a metaphysical world that is accepted by the Greek philosophers. There is no metaphysical idea in this world. Even what happens in this world, this is a materialistic. These all elements very much exist in Hobbes. Hobbes is materialist. And obviously, modern world, what is the objective for human being? You want to become a good human being or a powerful human being? Therefore, what is the motto in the modern world? Obviously, powerful human being. And the legal idea of a power is known as sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Legal idea of a power. Therefore, Hobbes believe in the sovereignty. Machiavelli was not discussing the philosophical dimension of political thought, since Machiavelli was statesman. But very interesting similarity you can find out in Machiavelli and Hobbes. Both believe in these ideas. But Hobbes is very much famous for his methodology. In Greek age, what was a methodology for the Plato, Aristotle? It was a metaphysical method of inquiry. Although Aristotle time and again utilized empirical method of inquiry, but by and large it was a metaphysical. Machiavelli was looking for a method of observation, empirical, as well as Machiavelli was more looking for a historical method for understanding politics. And once we are discussing our politics, what politics mean? Deal for state, deal for government. Therefore, let's see what was the basic condition of Hobbes and what was basic issues which we are going to discuss in Hobbes. These are very basic ideas that you will find out in idea of Hobbes. And let's see what was the historical circumstances in Hobbes was writing. It was England. Hobbes was English philosopher. And what was basic condition when Hobbes was writing England? Obviously, it was age of modernity, age of reason. At that time, 16th century was known as an era of a scientific revolution in Europe. It was the era of a scientific revolution in Europe. Obviously, every thinker is a child of his age. Machiavelli was more child than other thinkers. But nobody can deny that. Everybody is writing their circumstances. Therefore, Hobbes was writing in a phase where there was scientific revolution. And scientific revolution means the people like physicists like Galileo. He was founding the law of motion. If you look the principle of Galileo, even everything is comprised of matter in this world. What is the basic philosophy of physics? Everything is comprised with the matter, including human being. If we are assuming in the idea of a physics Galileo, if everything is comprised of human being, so automatically, where is the place of soul and where is the place of God? That's very logical. That is point. There is no need to memorize these thinkers. Even these thinkers are utilizing physics, geometry, and Hobbes is unique in that way. Hobbesian method is very much influenced by this idea of scientific revolution. He is not utilizing metaphysical method first. Even he is revolting against so-called scholastic method present at that time in the Oxford University. And what was scholastic method? Justifying God with logic and reason. That is scholastic method. But Machiavelli was very much impressed by Galileo, and what Galileo believed that everything is a matter and everything is in constant motion. We are also in motion. So question is that who is moving you? You are also in motion. Are you static or are you in motion? If you are in motion, then who is moving you? Any metaphysical power like soul or God? Physics doesn't believe in that. Therefore, everything is in constant flux. Everything is state of movement. That was the idea of Galileo. And let us see. And apart from Galileo, it was the geometry of Euclid. Hobbes was very much influenced by geometry of Euclid. And the all principle of geometry is based on a hypothesis. Is based on an idea of a kind of a assumption. See, mathematics, geometry, that is based on assumption. See, the sum of triangle is 180 degree. That is assumption. And the idea of geometry is very rooted in a very solid presumption, because every presumption of every theorem of geometry is based on very solid foundation. Therefore, conclusion of geometry is also very solid. In that way, Hobbes was applying physics and geometry for understanding the politics. It may be very complex. You will be surprised to know that how we can apply physics and geometry for understanding the politics. That may be very curious too. That may be a very wonderful idea. Very even some surprising fact. Even earlier political science was understood with the help of philosophy. Machiavelli tried to explain politics with help of history. But how we can use physics, how we can use geometry, and how we can use psychology for understanding state, government, and human being. That was uniqueness of Hobbes. And therefore, this was a scientific revolution of England, which was shaping the method of inquiry of Hobbes. And what was the method of inquiry of Hobbes? Because of impact of Galileo, because of impact of Euclid, it was a scientific methodism. mechanical materialism or scientific materialism, that was a method of investigation, method of inquiry for Hobbes. Name itself suggests scientific materialism. See, are you idealist or are you materialist? Why you are materialist? Why I should assume that you are materialist? Because who is materialist? First, denying the presence of metaphysical world. Can we accept that materialists believe in the soul and God? No. Whosoever is materialist, they believe that human being is also comprised of matter. Second, this universe is also comprised of matter. Third, everything is made by human being just like a machine. This universe is very much like a machine. Interestingly, if this universe is like a machine, if this universe is made by human being, then even if this universe is very much made by human being just like alarm clock, therefore state and government is also formed by human being. Are you surprised to listen that? There is something surprising or something it's okay if I am saying that because of this method, scientific materialism, I am explaining here materialism, everything is matter. Because that is the key for understanding of Hobbesian idea, scientific materialism. So once I am saying that scientific materialism, this is impact of Galileo, this is impact of Euclid, this is impact of science. And if we want to dissect the idea of scientific materialism, let's see why entire idea of Hobbes revolve around that scientific revolution. Thereafter, we will discuss the other conditions of England prevalent at that time, because there was a war between the, see, to some extent, church and king. There was also fighting between the parliament and king. It means there was an idea of anarchy, because between 1649 to 1660, there was an idea of a lawlessness. Even king was killed because of uprising of people. So England was in turmoil. England was not stable at that time, although there was a monarchy was at the place in England when Hobbes was writing. But monarchy was not powerful. Monarchy was there, but not powerful. So why Hobbes is justifying monarchy? What is his idea of Hobbes? Everything is derived from this principle, scientific materialism. Otherwise, let's see, first we want to understand scientific materialism. Thereafter, we will indulge in discussion whether Hobbes was absolutist or a supporter of totalitarian state. Hobbes was rationalist or egoist. Even Hobbes was the philosopher who is laying down the principle of liberalism, utilitarianism, or Hobbes is the kind of a person who is only justifying the unlimited power of a king and authority. So we will indulge in the various discussion, but first we want to begin with the basic. The basic is what is scientific materialism? Let's see. What is scientific materialism? And this is a very much idea of Hobbes. Every thought of Hobbes is very much influenced by this idea of scientific materialism. So materialism means everything is made of this matter. And here science means principle of Galileo. Science believe that everything is made of matter and they are in motion. What is the basic principle of Galileo? Law of motion. And what is materialism? Everything is made of matter. Once we want to understand the motion, then we have to get the idea of Galileo. If we are saying that everything is matter, obviously this is the idea of physics. And how we can apply geometry? How we can apply geometry? See, Hobbes also says that human nature is egoist, selfish. Although there is a debate over that, we will indulge in debate later, because there is a two school of thought. One school of thought is saying that for Hobbes, human being are rational, not egoist. There is a slight difference between being egoist and rational. So there is one group of thought who is saying that Hobbes is more rational than egoist. But as of now, we are treating rational and egoist simultaneously. Thereafter, matter and motion. And how we can use geometry. See, geometry is based on some presumption, like sum of three angle of a triangle is 180 degree. On that idea, we are assuming about human being. Let's see, like Machiavelli says that whatever I am discovering about human being, that is based on observation. Hobbes never said that. Hobbes said that this is based on the principle of geometry. It means human being or individual. Individual is a selfish. Individual is a selfish. Individual is egoist. Just like it is based on the very principle that the sum of three angle of a triangle is a 180 degree. So individual is a selfish, individual is egoist. That is a presumption of Hobbes, not a matter of empirical observation. See how we can come to know about the empirical observation. If we are interacting with so many people, I interacted with Ashish, Mohan, David, and once I'm interacting with everyone, and I come to know that, oh my God, everybody cheated me. This is empirical way to knowing about human being. Because whosoever is interacting with me, they are trying to making me fool. But once I'm assuming that no, there is no need of interaction of everybody, because human being can be explained on the basic principle of geometry. The nature of human being can be explained on the basic principle of geometry, because what is the assumption? Imagine the value of x is 100 rupees, that is assumption. Similarly, what we are saying that, just you are saying that the sum of a three angle of a triangle is 180 degree. Geometry is based on this basic premise. And I want to make the basic premise of politics is like that. Human being is corrupt. Human being is selfish. Therefore, Hobbesian method is not empirical, deductive. What is deductive? What I assume about the general behavior of human being. I am not interacting with anyone. Therefore, this is a method of geometry. Physics believe in inductive method, from particular to general. That I have also explained while telling you the Plato. Plato believe in a deductive method. Plato also moving from general to particular. Hobbes also moving, and Plato was also very much influenced by geometry. Hobbes is also very much influenced by geometry. It means everybody is selfish, everybody is corrupt. So irrespective of my experience doesn't matter, because geometry is not a matter of experience and empirical research. It is based on basic assumption, and the conclusion of geometry is very clear, very precise, very exact. So don't you think that, just like why conclusion of geometry is very correct? Because the foundation of geometry is very correct. So don't you think that we can utilize the foundation of geometry for studying the political science? Is it possible? Can we apply the foundation of geometry for understanding the political science? And what is our basic assumption? Human being is egoist. What I learned from geometry, human being is egoist. इसका सीधा मतलब है, you people are egoist, selfish. That I am coming to the principle of geometry. Don't take it otherwise. That is just I am assuming the fact. Second, everybody's emotion. What I learned from physics, everybody's emotion. Are you sitting on chair? Are you in a motion? Oh my God, are you in motion? What I can see, you are sitting over the chair. Okay, it means what Hobbes says that, let's see, human being is also matter. What is individual? Who is Assis? Matter. Who is a David? Matter. Who is a Elena? Matter. If I want to call Elena, so I can say matter, come. Matter. There is no idea of a God, no idea of soul. These are metaphysical things. It means our human body is comprises of matter, just like a alarm clock. Doctor treat human being as a matter first. And if we are matter, we are not static, we are in a constant motion. See, there is a two kind of motion. One is a voluntary motion. Sometime what happens, we are going to washroom, voluntary motion. We are moving our hand, voluntary motion. Some motion that is not in our control, in a voluntary motion, blinking eyelid, circulation of blood, and that is you are in constant motion, circulation of blood. And most importantly, you know that how human being move with the help of, here he is getting the help of psychology. Even there is a, some movement is a voluntary, some movement is voluntary, some movement are non-voluntary. Non-voluntary means which is not our under control because circulation of blood. But if I am going somewhere, if I'm attending a party, moving somewhere, walking on road, that is a voluntary movement. So we are in a constant movement first. And very importantly, see, this is not only biological movement because there is a uniqueness of human being. Human movement of human being is not done by only biology. Let's see why we are constantly moving. There is reason behind, because here we have to understand the psychology of human being. And what is psychology of human being? What is psychology of human being? We are having infinite desires. What is unlimited desires? How we move? With our desires. Why you're moving? First, you're looking for qualifying 10th exam. Then 12th. Then somebody said that do graduation. Thereafter, what we are looking for? Qualifying UPSC. And once you qualify the UPSC, you are eyeing for become collector. Qualifying UPSC is not our dream. Once we become collector, then we are looking for becoming chief secretary. हजारों ख्वाहिश ये सी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले. That is nature of human being. अच्छा, कई बार क्या होता है, सिलेक्शन के पहले क्या स्टूडेंट बोलते हैं, नहीं नहीं सर ऐसी बात नहीं है. Once I get selected, irrespective of my rank, I will very pleased. But once result is published, what they are saying that no, sir, rank is very low. So you are having unlimited desire. Whatever you are getting, that will always be insufficient. That constantly moves our life. And Hobbes writing in the Leviathan, what he said that desire come to an end. Condition apply after death. If there is a in this human life, we are having abundance of desire, unlimited desire. We are constantly searching for one to other, next to other. In case you become chief secretary, then you're looking for becoming governor. If you become governor, then CM. Obviously, this is a desire. This is unlimited desire. But you know that what is the most important desire of human being? We are having unlimited desire to get power, security. But let's see, what is the first and foremost desire of human being? Self-preservation. जान है तो जहान है. Self-preservation. And that is natural to human being. अब देखो, why this is natural? मैं मारूं आपको? अगर मैं मारकर आपकी तरफ चलाऊंगा, just you will react. Natural. This is natural instinct that happens to be in every human being, natural world. जैसे don't you think that suddenly जब कभी आपके सामने कोई vehicle आ जाए, you stop. Who? It is because of natural instinct of self-preservation. Remember, we are having unlimited desire, but what is most important? What is the primary? The words are very important. Hobbes is not saying for liberty. Remember, terms are very important. What is our desire? It's not liberty. What's our desire? It's life. Hobbes is not saying that protecting liberty is my first desire. No. Protecting property is my first desire, although property may be extension of life. But what is very important? Self-preservation. It means protecting my limbs, protecting my organs. That is a primary desire of human being. So everybody is looking for self-preservation. But the interesting point is that human being is egoist. If everybody is looking for self-preservation, and moreover human being is egoist, human being is selfish, and apart from self-preservation, everybody want to maximize their interest. Everybody is looking to maximize his or her own interest. What is outcome? Because you know the outcome, because there has always been the scarcity of resources in society. If everybody is competing for the UPSC exam, everybody want to become a member of parliament, everybody want to amass the more and more property, and what is the ultimate outcome? It is a conflict. Therefore, what is the ultimate outcome? Because everybody is looking for getting more and more. Therefore, what is ultimate conclusion? There will be conflict in society. Remember, not harmony. There will be conflict. And why conflict is there? Because of human nature. Why human nature? Because of selfish, because of egoist. And the answer is very simple. See, why there is a conflict in society? There is a conflict in hostel or not? जहाँ पे रहते हो वहाँ conflict होता है कि नहीं होता है? And what is the human nature that is described by Hobbes? अच्छा, आप हॉस्टल से यहाँ पे आ गए हो, तो आपने अपने रूम को लॉक कर रखा है, खोल के आ गए हो? Oh my God, why you locking your room? You don't have trust over others? Just I want to verify. Then Hobbes is correct. Hobbes is saying the same. Even if we are traveling a train, so we are locking up our belongings. पता नहीं कितनी बार, कई बार तो लोग शूज वगैरह भी सर पर रख के सो जाते हैं. This is because this is human nature, what described by Hobbes. Even if we are walking alone on the pavement, still we are putting some sticks. We don't have trust over others, and we want to maximize our interest. And let's see, therefore everybody is looking to get more and more. And what is ultimate result? Conflict. Conflict is there because of two factors. First, human being is the egoist. Second, there is a scarcity of resources. Third, desires are unlimited. So can we remove conflict? Let's see how the modern world is changing. Conflict is inevitable, not harmony. In Greek age, there was a harmony. Moral philosopher always tells that we can make a harmony in society, we can remove conflict in society. But Hobbes talk otherwise. Hobbes says that what is reality of this world? Conflict. Then what will happen? Because of conflict, there is a situation can emerge like that, like in Afghanistan. Because of conflict, nobody can be ready to form a state and government. Then what will happen? Because of that conflicts, there may be danger over self-preservation. Because of that conflict, there may be danger over self-preservation. And the question is that how we can protect our life. The self-preservation means how we can protect our life. If our life is in danger, and therefore, why? Because this was an imagination of Hobbes, just like a geometry. He was not explaining the historical condition of Britain, that was anarchy, then there was a conflict, but he was assuming everything on the basis of geometry. And what his point of view is that it means in case of conflict, because if there is a conflict happens between individual, then what is the solution? First, remove the conflict. Second, reform the human nature. Third, educate the people. He said no. Because what is the view of Hobbes? Human beings are a small monster. Are you listening carefully? Oh my God, you are monster? What Hobbes says that human beings are a small monster. Then human being is social? No. Human being is good? No. How we can resolve the conflict? For tackling the behavior of this small monster, we have to make a larger monster. And who is a larger monster? State. Leviathan. And the very famous book of Hobbes is Leviathan. Now you connect. It means that was the first purpose of Hobbes. Hobbes want to justify a very powerful state. Hobbes want to justify a very powerful state, a sovereign state, most powerful state, because why this most powerful state was needed? In order to protecting the life, in order to self-preservation. Question is very straightforward. Can you live without state? Just I am telling you, if there is no state, imagine, we want to apply the principle of geometry. कुछ देर के लिए ORN में करोल बाग में क्या कर दिया जाए? There should be no police, no judiciary, no government. Then what will be the condition of Rajendra Nagar? Oh my God! Even without police, you will be uncontrollable. I can't believe that. Oh my God! But I thought that my students are very good. They're virtuous. It means, let's see condition. I want to change this Karol Bagh in form of anarchy. What is anarchy? Without a state, without government. What is a anarchy? Society without no authority, society without no regulation. There will be no traffic police, no police station, and what will happen? अब जब समझ लो, इसमें जो पावरफुल होगा वो अच्छी सी कार लेके भाग जाएगा. Then, without a state, what principle will apply your society? Might is right. Might is right. Without state, might is right. And without state, anarchy. So what kind of society you want to live in? Under anarchy or under powerful state? This is very complex choice in Hobbes. If you want to live in anarchy, self-preservation, danger. This is choice. This is dangerous choice that was explained by some philosopher. They are saying that this is just like you want to fall in a deep gorge or you want to fall in a deep double blue sea. Where you want to fall? Everybody see this, but you want to fall in sea or you want to fall in deep gorge? And there are whales and shark in where you want to fall? That is a complex equation given by Hobbes. But before moving the idea of Hobbes, just I want to make a link. Let's see. So is it clear that how idea of state and government is linked with his idea of a methodology? Is it clear that how is beginning with idea of a scientific materialism? And the idea of scientific materialism is just translated into politics. Because once we are reading out the political science, we want to read out the state and government. For studying of a state government, how we can apply geometry and physics, is it clear? Or not? Is it not clear? Again, I want to repeat the same because answer is very simple. I can explain the same from other perspective. Let's see how we can apply scientific materialism from other perspective. Just I want to repeat the same because Hobbes simply says that political science cannot exist without human being. And how I can explain human being? Because human being are egoist and selfish. That is the idea of Hobbes. And where he is getting that assumption from geometry. And what he said that our unlimited desire, that is our psychology. And since we are a matter, we are having unlimited desire. So obviously, if we are having unlimited desire, so everybody is looking for purchasing Harley Davidson. But only few people are having Harley Davidson. Therefore, ultimately, there will be conflict. And what is state? A mechanism for resolving the conflict. So why state? Why? Once we want to read out the political science deal with the state. Why there is need of a state? Because of human being. Imagine, I can assume a society without a state, but if human beings are moral and virtuous, logical relation. There is logical relation. I can explain same scientific materialism from other perspective. Is it clear how human being is associated with the study of physics? How I can understand the human behavior with help of physics? Simple, with motion. Everybody is in a form of motion, and logically time and again we are repeating. If I am relying over physics, there is no need of a theology, God, Because if I am rejecting soul, no need of God. God is there because we are accepting soul. And physics believe that we are merely body. Nothing soul exists. We are merely body. And this body is a constant movement. And why you are moving? Let's see. Once you are, after finishing class, you move in करोल बाग. अच्छा करोल बाग में कहीं मूव करते हो, कहीं मन नहीं करता यार एक कार छीन ही लेते हैं इसकी. ओ माय गॉड व्हाट अ वंडरफुल कार इज दैट, छीन लेते हैं. कभी ऐसा मन हुआ कि नहीं? मन होता है. आपको तो किसी के पास बड़ा अच्छा मोबाइल है, ओ माय गॉड क्या हाउस है यार, ओ माय गॉड इफ आई गॉट एन अपॉर्चुनिटी आई कैन टेक ओवर द हाउस ऑफ गौतम गंभीर. ले लेते हैं. बट then we are why we are unable to try to take over others? Not because of we are good, because fear of police. How human being can be regulated? Because of fear of punishment, or because of you can make a moral virtuous human being? Who can make a fear of punishment? And state must be like a great khali or a small entity, because human beings are a very much small monster. They are selfish. They want to have unlimited desire. So only one way how I can have a limitation over desire of human being, and that is a power. Fear of punishment with a strong state. Remember, I will discuss. It's not a state. See, weak state is even anarchy is better than weak state. Strong state, absolute state, and therefore Hobbes says that it's not a state. It is a mortal God on the earth. Are you remembering the word carefully? Mortal God. God is mortal or immortal? Why am I saying God? Mortal God. Hobbes says that Leviathan state is a mortal God. Why he said that mortal God? Because for materialist, God doesn't exist. Because what is a God? God is not a noun, it is an adjective. God denotes about the adjective of power. God means unlimited power, transcendental power. God means there is no limitation over God. तभी आप देखो कई बार हम क्या कहते हैं, गॉड को भी बोल देते हैं गवर्नमेंट, सरकार. वंस आई वाज विजिटिंग मथुरा का बांके बिहारी सरकार. आई बिकेम वेरी कंफ्यूज. हम क्या यार ये भगवान है सरकार है? It means government is signifying something about supremacy of power. And that is the reason. If I am saying it is a mortal God, you know that who is a mortal God in this planet? Modi ji. Mortal God hai. Because sovereign power. Although individual may not be sovereign. Can anybody take over government? Why? Most powerful. Anybody can disobey the state? Why? Most powerful. Anybody can challenge the power of a state? Why? Most powerful. Therefore, it is a later we have to discuss in the idea of a sovereignty in a state. But here, that is an idea of a beginning of idea of Hobbes, mechanical materialism. Through mechanical materialism, he is deriving the idea of a politics. Through physics, he is coming through politics. Through geometry, he is coming to politics. Is it clear or not? I can explain same from other perspective. How? Let's see. How is a yes, you can ask. By simple say, we know that what is geometry? Geometry is based on the basic presumption, like sum of triangle is 180 degree. Geometry subject is not basis of empirical study. So geometry believe that if basic premise is correct, conclusion will always be correct. Similarly, on that line, we are making a principle of geometry in politics that human being is selfish and egoist. If human being is selfish and egoist, what is the conclusion? State is most powerful. State is sovereign. And there is no limitation over power of a state. Therefore, mortal God. Mortal God is a more adjective. It's not a real, it is metaphor rather than reality, because person who believe in physics, geometry, how they can accept the presence of God. And that is a time and again what we are saying, that a person who believe in a physics, person who believe in geometry, and the person who was criticizing scholastic method of study prevalent at that time in Oxford University. So he was very much criticizing scholastic method of study. He was very much critical towards scholastic method of study. You know that? What is scholastic method of study? See, justifying the presence of God through reason and logic, not through the theology, not through faith. I can prove the presence of God through faith because I believe that, because you know that. But the person who is having reason, they will not believe that why God exists. But I can justify the presence of God through reason. How? Because there is a person who is arranging the systematic idea, or who is making arrangement within a room. If you are residing in a room, your room is more systematic. It means there is somebody who is managing the room. Question is that, are you finding out some system in nature, or there is a haphazard? Nature is very much haphazard system. Sun always rises from east, set in the west. And who is making system? If a room is systematic, then somebody is living in the room. Therefore, if there is a more system in nature, who is behind that system? The name is ultimate God. The name is God. This was a scholastic method. Hobbes very much outrightly rejected scholastic method. And that is the reason for Hobbes, there is no question that he can justify the God. He can justify the God. He is having faith in physics. So don't you think that his ideas are very interesting? His ideas are very unique. And now we can discuss over one by one individual, then state. So now we can enter into individual in the state. And then we will again remind you his historical condition. Any other question? Is it clear? Now, let's see. For Hobbes, individual is more important. Remember, it's not community. If always read out word carefully. If I am saying individual is more important, we are not saying about community. We are not saying about history. Let's see. Hobbes is defining individual is just like an atom. Atom. It means there is a two way to define the individual. First, I am telling you what is your history. If I am asking that what is your date of birth, from here you belong, I am asking your history. Therefore, I want to know something that what your behavior may be because of the circumstances. That is Hobbes has nothing to do with history. Hobbes has nothing to do with religion. Hobbes has nothing to do with culture. Therefore, Hobbesian projection of individual is ahistorical. Ahistorical, without perspective. Ahistorical without perspective. It means everybody is atom. Are you human being? Are you atom? See, some of you may belong to Jharkhand. Some of you may belong to Karnataka, Maharashtra. But for Hobbes, not at all. Individual is just like atom, because individual can be understood on the basis of desires, because everybody is having same desires. So I can understand individual through psychology or through history. Psychology. And what is psychology of human being? They are having more desires. That is psychology of human being. They are looking for getting more power. That is psychology of human being. They are looking for self-preservation. That is psychology of human being. So what is need to tell history? What is need to tell community? And that is very interesting idea. Individual is atom. I find out so many atoms traveling in metro. कई बार मुझे कई atom, some atoms are entering from one station, other exiting from other station. And you know that sometimes it is very interesting to travel in metro. कोई आदमी होता है, मैंने एक बार उसको देखा, उसने मुझे देखा, फिर मैंने इधर मुँह के लिए, फिर उधर मुँह के लिए. We are human being or we are letting atom? Oh my God, nobody is asking to me where I am going. Nobody is asking to me that why I am sad. Even nobody asking me that why I am looking so pretty. कई बार लोग खोजते मेरे को पूछो तो यार हाल तो पूछो. नो, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है? Because individual is very much disconnected with community, culture, history, because individual is like an atom. Again, I'm saying that this may not be real, but this is a presumption of Hobbes, like the principle of geometry. If you are asking that, oh sir, how is possible? Question is not a possibility. Question not possibility, but question is the assumption of Hobbes. That is the reason why he is time and again taking help of physics and geometry. On the basis of geometry, he is reading over conclusion that human being is an atom, and therefore everybody is same or everybody is unequal. This is something very progressive, or this is something conservative. If I am saying that individual is an atom, if I am saying that everybody is having same ability, same capacity, then Hobbes was a progressive, or Hobbes is somebody conservative. Progressive. This is a far-reaching conclusion. Remember, if I am saying that everybody is having the same desires, everybody is looking for self-preservation, so don't you think that traditional society is always divided into all caste, race, culture, religion? Hobbes is outrightly rejecting these ideas. And it's very interesting to say that after Plato, he is a rationalist. This is very interesting. If everybody is atom, you find out, therefore later we have to discuss liberty. You find out more liberty in Delhi or in your remote village. Once we are, because again, just I want to remind the context in Hobbes was writing history. Because where Hobbes was writing, once England became industrialized, England became urbanized, and here people were coming from village to the industries in urban centers. Once people are coming in urban centers, they are coming in the cities, and that is the reason now individual became free. There is an interesting idea to become atom. कभी क्लास में आओ, कभी एटम गायब हो जाएगा, पता ही नहीं चलेगा एटम कहाँ गया. Oh my God, I am unable to search the atom. Where atom is enjoying? अब बताओ, कभी एटम हिल्स पे चला जाएगा और कभी एटम इंडिया गेट पे चला जाएगा. This is, oh my God, this is something very positive idea. Radical idea is the normal. Radical idea, because my dear friend, see, what is the problem? Custom, culture, religion, these are bondage. This suppress human being. This divide human being. This makes a layers of various discrimination. This makes a very layers of discrimination, and we want to abandon every discrimination, and that is a point. Analysis of Hobbes is very important. Contribution of Hobbes is very important. You know that is a point. If Hobbes assume that individual is just like atom, for Hobbes there is no history, there is no culture. Individual is important because individual is having same psychological tenets. Don't you think that become the philosophical base of liberalism? That is a philosophical base of liberals. Remember, I'm not saying that Hobbes is liberal. I don't want to say that Hobbes is liberal, but he is laying down the philosophical base of liberals. First time Hobbes says that, Ja Simran Ja, Jile Jindagi. Who said that? Hobbes. Why he said that? Because he said that psychologically everybody is having the same self-preservation. तो अब बताओ, caste, economy, property, although there is other version too, because my person criticized on same ground, I will come over criticism of my person. Do not forget that I will have a critical assumption too, but let's see what is importance of Hobbes first, then I will criticize later. Will you like to note down something, or first I should explain, then I come over the noting down? Acha, just I want to finish one part, then I will come over dictation. अब देखो, if individual and atom, and again, from where he is getting sense of individual physics? Because there is no disparity between atom first. And see, no atom is a brother and sister. Every atom is a free. Therefore, there is some sort of equality in the idea of atom. And atom is always in condition of movement. Therefore, it is motion. Atom is having unlimited desire. It is a psychology. And the idea of atom is very much derived from the geometry. Therefore, in the entire study of Hobbes, we can time and again see the idea of a geometry, psychology, and physics. And let's see, if individual is nature of individual looking for desire, individual want to get more and more power, then what will happen? Let's see. If every individual want to get more and power, ultimate result is conflict. And there may be two conditions, because every human being is same. There is a constant fighting. There may be constant fighting, because what happens? If everybody is a sovereign over himself, because everybody is atom, so obviously there is no regulating authority over individual. Because you know that in traditional society, custom, culture, family, teacher, church, sometimes what happens, कई बार मैं जो once I was मूविंग इन करोल बाग, कई बच्चे सिगरेट पीते रहते हैं, फट से सिगरेट नीचे कर लेते हैं, मुझे समझ गया मेरा ही स्टूडेंट होगा ये, because there is some sort of regulation. I'm not a state. Custom, tradition, family, ये सभी बहुत बाउंडेशन लगाती है. हॉब्स में ही नहीं कुछ, because for Hobbes every individual is atom. So atom is free to smoke, atom is free to attend the hookah bar, and atom is free to compete with everyone. In that case, if everybody is sovereign, everybody is important, everybody is unit, don't you think that even they can create a ruckus in society? And what will happen? Ultimate conflict. In case of any ultimate conflict, what will be the condition? War of everyone against each. War of everyone against each. And then what will happen? This will be condition like might is right. Might is right. Again taking help of geometry. And Hobbes says that this anarchic position of society was not the real condition present in England, but that was his assumption. And Hobbes says that, again Hobbes applied the idea of geometry, and Hobbes made a hypothesis of anarchy. Although literally there was anarchy in 11 years in Britain. But Hobbes made a hypothesis. Hobbes said, yes, there was anarchy. And this anarchy is known as a state of nature. Again, on the basis of assumption, what Hobbes says that this anarchy can be considered a state of nature. Again, a state of nature is a hypothesis or the real explanation of existing society. Hypothesis. Just I made a hypothesis about Karol Bagh. Therefore, state of nature is merely hypothesis. It is not a presence of a real condition. Hypothesis. So what is state of nature? Let's see. Logical. No state. Let's see. If there is no state, logically no government. Remember, everything is logically connected with other. And very interestingly, no government means no law. And no law means no justice. Everything is no law means no justice. And if there is no law, no justice, then what will happen? Might is right. Therefore, what Hobbes is assuming that, again I'm highlighting the fact, assuming that, just like a geometry, that state of war is of a nasty Brutus. Might is right. Therefore, can you imagine in a state of war, a state of nature? What is state of nature as of now in Gaza? No government. As of now in Gaza, there is state of nature. Everybody is fighting with everyone. Because there is a presence of a state, presence of government. Even there is no security of life. And if there is no security of life, this is stays up just like a jungle. What happens in jungle? Might is right. Might is right. And that is a point. Again, I'm repeating, there is no need of a memorization of anything. If there is state, Thereafter, we can imagine about government. No state means no government. Can you imagine any law without government? There is no law in jungle. You can't imagine. And if no law, how you can imagine about justice? What is wrong, what is right? That is defined according to law. And there is no law. And now, can you imagine about the peace disco? Not at all. In that condition, you cannot have imagination of civilization, right, protection of property, and even forget about self-preservation. That was imagination of Hobbes. And again, he was taking help from geometry. This is the hypothetical condition state of nature. And maybe the condition few years back in Afghanistan, there was no government. And that is, my dear friend, imagine a state. Even what was the purpose of a state of nature? It was not the historical explanation that there was no state in England, there was no government in England. No. He wanted to justify the utility of a state. And in terms of political science, that is known as a political obligation. You remember? Hobbes is the first scholar who justified the presence of a state. Because Machiavelli is also supporting powerful state. But Machiavelli was statesman. He is speaking for statecraft. He has nothing to do with the theoretical aspect of political science. Therefore, he is coming with policy science. Hobbes is the first person who is justifying the presence of a powerful state, sovereign state, and what will happen in absence of sovereign state. It means anarchy. Dictatorship is good or anarchy is good? Absolute power of a state is good or anarchy is good? And Hobbes said very simply, if you are having a state but not absolute power, it is better to live in anarchy. And let's see, absolute state is able or anarchy is able? Both is able. अरे सीधी सी बात है भाई, if there is absolute state, then you are living under Kim Il-jung. You are living under dictator. Dictator won't allow liberty. That is evil. Anarchy, life is in danger. तो वायलिन कहाँ बजाओ क्लास के बाद मन कहे, you know that, why you are so happy? आपको पता है, why you are so peacefully come in class, and after the ending of class, just you go out with no bothering. You are very comfortable talking with phone because you are sure that there is state behind me. If any problem, just you call 112. State will obviously help you. And that is the idea of a state. Why you feel more secure? Therefore, state is there. Oh, okay, state is there, then have some problem. क्यों? State of protection आप करेगा, लेकिन but if you are here wandering in 12 in midnight, state पूछेगा क्यों घूम रहे हो? Go inside room. You will say, oh, no, I'm atom. I can move anywhere. You can't have a check over me. Then, because of presence of a state, speed is limited. State is maybe able, but lesser able than anarchy. You know the state is able. Why? Because we want to ride over bike. And being youngsters, I don't have any helmet. बाल लहराते हुए उड़ना चाहता हूँ. And the next state is there. Traffic police, इधर चलो. What happens in Noida? Every Saturday and Sunday, so many youngsters, they go in the Yamuna Expressway and engage in biking, racing. And police chase them. They sometimes pay fine. Sometimes police take a very harsh action. State should be there. My dear friend, state is there, therefore your lock is secure. State is there, therefore your property is secure. Therefore, Hobbes is explaining for origin of a state or importance of a state. That is the importance of a state, utility of a state. And this importance and utility of a state is known as the idea of political obligation. In political obligation simply means what is need of a state. Hobbes is not interested to tell that what is the history of a state, what is the origin of a state. No. Because in philosophy, in physics, in geometry, in psychology, he's not a historian. He's not a historian. He never utilized historical method for inquiring political questions. His method is very clear. Obviously, he is looking for justifying the state, justifying sovereignty. And look why it was a need of the hour. Because in England, because in Europe, what happened after arrival of monarchy? Thereafter, there was a clash between church and state. Because church was very adamant. Church says that no, we are not under the monarch first. And there was a clash between parliament and the monarch. Remember, when there was a clash between parliament and monarchy at that time, parliament was not like the parliament of present world, because present parliament is a comprised of elected people. But at that time, parliament means a institution. Parliament means institution that was comprised of feudal lords. That was parliament. So parliament technically it was an idea of a house of lord. That was a parliament. So parliament was a democratic body. Parliament was not elected body. But because of that challenge that was appearing in the society of Europe, Hobbes was coming with a very methodological solution. Hobbes was came forward with very strong defense of state, and that is point his idea of a powerful state. So will you note down the same? Otherwise, later we will indulge in discussion, debate. First, you write the basics. You can write the next heading. You can write the heading state. State is a mortal god, or in bracket, state is sovereign. State is a mortal god, or state is a sovereign. So first point. First point. For Hobbes. For Hobbes, individual are rational. Individual are rational, but egoist, selfish. Individual are rational, but egoist and selfish. Every individual is just like an atom. Every individual is just like an atom. Every individual just like an atom. And while believing in the atomistic individualism, he lays down the foundation of, while believing in atomistic individualism, he lays down the foundation of liberalism. Foundation of a liberalism underline. Since liberal believe that individuals are not part of community, culture, and history. Since liberal believe that individuals are not part of community, culture, and history. Community, culture, and history. And every individual is a small sovereign. Every individual is small sovereign. A small sovereign underline. Next point. Since every individual has unlimited desire, Since every individual has unlimited desire, thereafter, conflict in society is inevitable. Thereafter, conflict in society is inevitable. And Hobbes. Thereafter, conflict in society is inevitable, and Hobbes has witnessed the religious conflict in France. Hobbes has witnessed the religious conflict in France. And the French scholar Baudin propounded the idea of sovereignty. French scholar Baudin propounded the idea of sovereignty. French scholar Baudin propounded the idea of sovereignty. See, sovereignty simply means, once I am saying sovereignty, there may be numerous groups in society, and first time idea of sovereignty was discovered by Baudin, and it was a result of some sort of a crisis of French society. Because why? Because there was a church, obviously some other social groups, feudal lord, and thereafter monarch. It means every center of power, they were not willing to surrender their power over one head of state, over one center of power. And if they was constantly fighting with each other, there was some sort of idea of civil war that went in Europe for almost 30 years. That is the point. First time Baudin came by the idea of sovereignty. Sovereignty simply means supreme power of state. Supreme power of state. It means nobody is more powerful than monarch. Either church, everybody will be regulated by monarch. Because in case of a supremacy of power, what will happen? Who will settle dispute? Who will settle the conflict? And that was the arrival of idea of sovereignty. And sovereignty is the soul of nation state. You know that why state is different from society? Merely because state is sovereign. And what is sovereign? Supreme authority to punish. What is sovereign? Supreme authority to make a law. What is sovereign? Final body which command the people. Sovereign. So therefore there should be multiple authority, or there should be single source of authority. That is therefore Baudin were coming with idea of sovereignty. But you know that there is a problem in Baudin. Why? Next point. Baudin said that state is supreme. Baudin said that state is supreme. Monarch is more powerful than any community. Monarch is more powerful than any community. And nobody can disobey the order of monarch. Nobody can disobey the order of monarch. But Baudin put some limitation over the power of monarch. Baudin put some limitation over the power of monarch. Limitation underline. Baudin put some limitation over power of monarch, like monarch cannot disobey, or monarch cannot disobey the moral laws of the society. Monarch cannot disobey the moral laws of society. See, argument is very simple. See, this basic meaning, the simple meaning of sovereignty means supreme power. The supreme power and limited power contradicting with each other. See, once I am saying that monarch is having supreme power, but again I am saying that monarch is under some limitation. If monarchy is under some limitation, monarch cannot command the supremacy. So once I am saying that Char Minar is the highest minar in India, but Qutub Minar is higher than Char Minar, I am making a paradox. Therefore, this was a paradox. This was an error committed by Bodin. So Bodin was founder of sovereignty, but Hobbes removed those fallacies. Hobbes is removing fallacy which was left behind by Bodin. Next point. Hobbes. Hobbes made a correction. Hobbes made a correction in the idea of sovereignty. Hobbes made a correction in the ideas of sovereignty propounded by Bodin. Propounded by Bodin. And for Hobbes, state is having the sole legislative power. State is having the sole legislative power. Executive power. State is having the sole legislative power, executive power, and military power. State is having sole legislative power, military power, executive power. Moreover, the command of state is a law. The command of state is law. See, that's very important idea. It is different from present world. Law is supreme or monarch is supreme? Monarch is supreme. Here, see, law is supreme. That is the idea of modern world. That idea became very important law onwards. But what Hobbes is saying that law is a command of a state. What is law? Whatever given command by state, that become law. So even if law is a command of a state, therefore sovereign is not bounded even by his own laws. He can change the laws at any time. And here there's no confusion because there is no difference between monarch and state. Earlier, no political scientist tried to make a distinction between monarch and state, although state is institution, monarch is individual. But here we are using monarch state simultaneously. Therefore, even monarch is having legislative power. Monarch is having the executive power. Legislative power means monarch can make any law. Executive power means the same authority belong to monarch, he can execute the law. And more importantly, military power, monarch can invite the fighting with state. Therefore, there is no limitation over the power of monarch, even not by moral laws, because Hobbes is rationalist. Hobbes says that morality is not going to have a limitation over the state. State is supreme. On this planet, there is no foundation over state. And Hobbes doesn't believe in God. Who is supreme at this planet? DM, CM, and PM. In modern terms, we can understand the same. Therefore, that was a new idea. Therefore, any gangster is having sovereignty or PM is having sovereignty? Maoist? No. Any Ulfa? Not at all. Who is having sovereignty? It is a state. State is not bounded by even morality, religion. And very interestingly, Hobbes says that even not church, whatever he said by to church, that was very astonishing. When he said for church, that was very interesting. What he said about church. Next point you can write. Due to conflict going on between the Catholics and the Protestant, due to conflict going on between the Catholics and the Protestant, Hobbes said that even church is also made by human being. Church is also made by human being. Moreover, state is also creation of human being. State is also creation of human being. State is also creation of human being. It is also known as a mechanistic concept of a state. Mechanistic underline. It is also known as a mechanistic concept of a state. Mechanistic concept of a state. Remember, these words are very important. MECHANI, mechanistic, from machine, mechanistic. See, state is natural or state is a machine. Let's see how entire thought change in modern world. In Greek age, human being are natural, state are natural, everything is a natural. Suddenly change in modern world. Therefore, these are very logical change. Because of urbanization, industrialization, scientific invention, human being is like a machine. Are you agree that human being is machine? Oh my God, you don't agree human being is machine? What happened with see, entire medical science based on the same assumption, human being is machine. Any organ can transplant as of now. The method of treatment of a doctor is just like engineer. Engineer can make any machine. Similarly, doctor can change one part of body. Doctor can have a transplant of bodies. Especially scientists, engineers and medical scientists, they visualize human being just like a machine. And this is again the example of physics. Materialism, this was the height of materialism. And see, religious people say that individual is a child of God. Because and God is very much attached with us with soul. But physicist says that no soul, no God. And if no soul and no God, what is the role of church? Church is claiming to connecting soul with God. See why it's not only church only, every religious places. We are not going to hurt sentiment of anyone because that is in that context we are talking. In fact, what is the importance of any religious place? Simple. It is connecting body, which connect human being with heaven. But the question is that church always claim that state is a divine agency. This was a principle of two sword, very much prevalent in the medieval age. And two sword means God has established two institutions on this planet. First, state for taking care of material life. Second is a church for managing the celestial life, a religious life. That was a church. Both are divine institution. You remember, Hobbes is first scholar. Again, I remind Hobbes is first scholar. State is made by human being. It's not divine. It was revolution or it was something small. Church became very annoyed. Church say that, oh my God, therefore once Hobbes was writing. Let's see the critical story of Hobbes. Hobbes was genius. Study physics, geometry, everything. But let's see. Hobbes was born. He was a premature baby. Born because of accident. And once Spanish were attacking over England. Spanish were attacking over England, and the mother of Hobbes was even narrow escape for the mother of Hobbes. And she was so scared that Hobbes born before 9 months. And therefore Hobbes says that I and fear born together. This is the meaning. I will explain. That is not only a literal meaning, but that is a philosophical meaning. Hobbes says that I and fear born together. And therefore, once Hobbes was born, when he started writing, he was born in state of Malmesbury in England. And what happened? Once he was writing, church became very much annoyed to Hobbes. In the meantime, plague was breaking out in England. After breaking out a plague, see, church invited all the people. Church says that one demons is now living in England. And because of birth of that demon, God is now angry. So many people assemble before church. Because, sir, Father, how we can please God? Then Father says that catch Hobbes. Set him fire. That was, and then Hobbes was running from here and there for saving his life. Even it was not Hobbes, he was a Kangna Ranawat. He was a Panga boy. A Panga boy, he was saying straightforward. Everybody was annoyed with Hobbes. And I will tell you, even church was also against Hobbes. King was also against Hobbes. Even you know that if I am inviting conflict with 1% in my locality, it may be okay. But I am engaging conflict with everyone. Hello, bhai, if somebody is getting angry with me, it's okay. Everybody was angry with Hobbes. You know that why church was angry with Hobbes? How dare to say that church is a human body? If church is a human body, it means church has no divine authority. And second, what he said that King said, oh Hobbes, you are saying that state is also a human body. James 1 says that state is also made by God. Therefore, divine, this was the divine origin of a state. All monarchs always claim that they are the divine representation of this planet. Let's see in Nepal, what was the belief? Lord, monarch are the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. This was authority. King was not getting authority from people. King was getting his legitimacy from the divine authority, because nobody can question the king. See, in case if king became very tyrannical, king became despotic, even then there was no excuse. Why? Because king says that in past birth you have committed so many sins. Thereafter God has sent a brutal king for penalizing you, because whatever you did in the past, we are here to present you, we are here to penalize you in the present. See, that was the idea of Hobbes. Hobbes says that state is a machine, human being is a machine, church is a machine. Oh my God, what a radical! Was radical, or he was following a middle path? He was to some extent, it was a radical idea. That was very interesting. And in that context, he defines sovereignty. Don't you think that he rejected divine theory of state? So his king was very against the Hobbes. Church was very against the Hobbes. Moreover, even parliament was also against the Hobbes. Why member of parliamentarian were against the Hobbes? Hobbes justified the power of king. Let's see, Hobbes justified the power of king. But again, you will ask the question, If Hobbes justified the power of king, then why Hobbes was against, why king was against Hobbes? Hobbes justified the power of king, but not on the premise of divine origin of a state, on the premise that a state is made by human being. Don't you think that first time it is said by anyone? Therefore, mechanistic idea of a state. Earlier it was a moral state. Earlier it was a organic state, natural state. Everything is rejected by Hobbes. Mechanistic state. State is a machine. State is a matter. And if state is matter, it is something divine or material. This is the impact of physics everywhere. This is the impact of physics. Therefore, what is sovereignty? From next point you can write. Hobbes told about the following features of sovereignty. Hobbes told about the following features of sovereignty. First, the power of a state will be absolute. Hobbes supported the following features of sovereignty. Point 1, absolute, indivisible. Inalienable, non-transferable, absolute, indivisible, inalienable, non-transferable. You know that absolute power of a state simply means king can do no wrong. Absolute power of a state. King is not under any foundation. That is absolute power of a state. So later we have to discuss about the fact that whether he is justifying absolute power of a state. So don't you think that it is a rational idea, irrational idea? Later I will discuss the point. Because on the one hand he is saying that atomistic individualism is key. If individual is more important, then he is saying state is more important. Ultimately, that is the problem. But we will examine that point later. But here you know that absolute means under no limitation, absolute power. Then indivisible, power of a state can't be divided. Let's see. As of now, we always try to divide the three organs of the state. Hobbes says no. Division of power of states means destruction of power. There should be few centers of power or multiple centers of power. There should be only one center of power, not a multiple center of power. Church is not center of power. Feudal lordings are center of power. Only supreme center of power is the monarch. Therefore, indivisible. And then inalienable. It means nobody can take away the power of king. Nobody can take away the power of king. And obviously, non-transferable. Because if king is a transferring power to others, he or she may not be a powerful. Although it must be understood because earlier society was very much patriarchal. Hobbes is not talking about anything about the women's. Obviously, although he is very much rationalist, but at that time it was a monarch was obviously male. So he more talks in terms of a he. You know that was idea of sovereignty. Therefore, Bodin founded the sovereignty, but there was a problem in the idea of sovereignty of Bodin. But if you want to ask, then can we say that Hobbes was the most systematic propounder of idea of sovereignty? No. You know that who is the most systematic propounder of idea of sovereignty? John Austin. Because sovereignty is having two dimensions: internal supremacy and external independence. Hobbes never tried to tell about the external dimension of sovereignty. And what is external dimension of sovereignty? Government of India is free to purchase oil either from Saudi Arabia or Russia. External dimension of sovereignty. What is the internal dimension of sovereignty? Government of India is supreme in comparison to any association, any organs residing in the within the territory of India. That is the internal dimension of a sovereignty. State is sovereign. Nobody is equal to state. Nobody is superior to state. That is really the idea of sovereignty. Supreme authority of a state. Supreme authority of a state, sovereignty. So this was his picture of sovereignty. But next point you can write. Hobbes is a materialist. Hobbes is materialist. And he demolished. Hobbes is materialist. And he demolished the idea of a divine theory of origin of a state. He demolished the idea of a divine theory of origin of a state. Therefore, directly challenged the power of church as well as monarch. Directly challenge the power of church as well as a monarch. Directly challenge the power of church as well as a monarch. So you can change the heading. Now, anarchy versus state. You can change the heading anarchy versus state. Anarchy versus state. So first point. While opting the methodology of geometry, he made an assumption of a state of nature. He made an assumption of a state of nature. Although England has witnessed a condition like civil war between 1649 to 1660. Although England has witnessed the condition like civil war between 1649 to 1660. To 1660. But Hobbes never tried to explain the historical condition of England. Hobbes never tried to explain the historical condition of England. On the other hand, he tried to explain. The utility of a state. He tried to explain the utility of a state. Full stop. Without presence of a state. Without presence of a state. Self-preservation is in danger. Without the presence of a state, self-preservation is in danger. Which is most basic instinct of human being. self-preservation is in danger, which is most basic instinct of human being. Basic instinct of human being. Since individuals are rational, therefore, they have decided to form state and government. They have decided to form state and government. State and government in order to protecting human life. State and government in order to protecting human life. State and government in order to protecting human life. You know that you will find out a very interesting similarity between almost all the philosophers. Plato also said that there were some social diseases. Political scientists come for having a solution with social diseases. Plato was also saying there were some social diseases. Hobbes is also saying that there are some social diseases. What is a social disease? Infighting, conflict. Very interestingly, problem is almost same. If human being is selfish, obviously corrupt. Human being is corrupt. If human being is selfish, obviously human being is corrupt. But very interesting, human being is rational enough, and thereafter he is arriving for making a state and government. And state and government means human being is very much rational, is very much prudent. Let's see. That is fine. There is a two group of scholars who are saying that Hobbesian depiction of human nature is based on geometry. And Hobbes says that everybody is egoist, everybody is selfish. That he never examined at all, but it was a presumption like geometry. You know that idea of egoist and selfish human being means he is projecting a very pessimist nature of human being. He said that human being is even everybody is quarreling with each other, fighting with each other. So human being is more like an animals. See, once we are brutish, nasty, that is the idea of a state of nature. But other group of scholars are saying that no, it is wrong to say that he is a projected human being as egoist and selfish. Let's see, there is a fine division between egoist and selfish and being a rational. Once I am saying that somebody is rational, see, that's a very positive idea. See, obviously, a rational person may maximize self-interest, but may not be harming others. A rational person, what is the sign of a rational person? I want to maximize my own interest. I want to protect my body because I have a prudence, and a rational person will not harm others. And you will be surprised to know that even Hobbes is also describing some principle of natural law. The term is very interesting because once I am referring natural law, natural means law that is not codified anywhere, not written anywhere. Always try to make a distinction between keywords. There is a two type of law, positive law as well as natural law. Positive law means law made by parliament. Positive law means law made by human agency. Constitution is a positive law. Statute made by parliament is positive law. Natural law means unwritten law. Natural law means, and see why the term natural law became very interesting. Because in medieval age, natural law were considered as a divine law. You know that natural law was considered a divine law, religious law, code of ethics, whatever you want to say. And why what was the basic idea of natural law? Because God has made this universe. And God has made this universe, same time God has made us too. So since we are a creation of God, if we are creation of God, then God has given a sense. Therefore, I can know about what is the objective of God, why God is making this world. Why God is making this world, at least I can know the purpose. that is a natural law, but the term natural law is very different in Hobbes. Can you imagine Hobbes believe in divine world? No. He never accepted nature. He not at all. He's not a medieval thinker. He has a reason. Therefore, don't you think he was the most rational person? Oh my God, the person who is applying physics for studying politics, geometry for studying politics. How I can say that he is a depicting human being in a very pessimist way. So there is a two way to describe the idea of Hobbes. And if Hobbes is rationalistic, therefore again he laying down the foundation of liberalism. He paved the way for a liberty that we will later discuss. Even he is making a foundation of his state. So don't you think that state may be democratic as of now, that was not supported by Hobbes, but don't you think that sovereignty is a key feature of his state even in 21st century too? Sovereignty is the key feature. And here, state of Hobbes is a legal authority or a moral authority? Legal. State will use a penalty. State will create a fear. State is a large monster. Leviathan. Because what is the name of book of Hobbes? That is the Hobbes is writing the Leviathan. See, what is the literal meaning of Leviathan? Giant animal. What is the literal meaning of Leviathan? Giant animal. And that is uniqueness of Hobbes. Therefore, Hobbes is justifying the powerful state. And here Hobbes is very much a rationalist. But it is wrong to say that Hobbes projected human nature in a very different way. So next point you can write this here. Can you repeat the last line? Protecting human life. Next point. For Hobbes, state is a Leviathan. State is a Leviathan. In bracket, giant animal. It means state is a great Khali. Therefore, you know that what symbol he made. Once he wrote Leviathan. Let's see the picture he is putting over Leviathan. On the one hand, Leviathan is putting sword. On the other hand, crusade. It means both religious as well as a material power. That lies in king. Symbol is very interesting. And why sword? Sword symbolizes the power. How we can regulate human behavior? Through education, through morality, or through fear? Fear. And it is why we obey the order of a state simple because of fear of punishment. Therefore, Hobbes says that I and fear born together. What was the fear in a state of nature? Self-preservation. Fear will remain in the state. That is, fear will remain in the state. And why? Because of fear of punishment of state. So human nature is not social. Although they may be debatable, but one group of scholars saying that it is a punishment, fear. That is interesting for regulating the human nature. So next point you can write. Leviathan is like a monster. Leviathan is like a monster. Leviathan is like a monster who is able to create a fear of punishment underlying. Leviathan, the master who is able to create a fear of punishment. And ultimate power of state. Ultimate power of a state is essential to preserving individual's life. ultimate power of a state is essential to preserving individual's life. In that context, state may be an evil. In that context, state may be an evil, but lesser evil. In that context, state may be an evil, but lesser evil than anarchy. Lesser evil than anarchy. And here, Hobbes explained about the utility of a state. Here Hobbes explained about the utility of state. Utility of a state. Let's see, that term is very important. Therefore, some scholars says that Hobbes also laid down the philosophical foundation of liberalism because individual is atom. He's also laying down the philosophical foundation of utilitarianism. See, are you utilitarian or are you idealist? Why you are utilitarian? Just tell me. Are you utilitarian or are you idealist? Give me an answer. Why you are a utilitarian? Why you are a utilitarian? Abstract. This is I'm unable to get. Tell me some practical example that I can come to know that you're a utilitarian. A utilitarian simply means you're consequentialist. That is simple meaning of utilitarian. Look, utilitarian. Once I'm saying something utilitarian, materialist ideology first, and see why you are reading out, why you are putting so much hard work for your studies, looking for utility. You are seeking ultimate pleasure because you know that why you are so much inspired, why you are even so much committed for your studies, because what you are thinking that in days to come I will get a car, bungalow of DM. Oh my God. This utility inspire you. What is utilitarian? AC is having utility, or AC just here putting for the morality? You will do something because of the well-being of community or for my own happiness and pleasure. If you are doing anything for maximizing your own happiness, you are utilitarian. इसलिए अगर कोई आदमी कहे, let's see, if you are eating something because of utility, pleasure attached with that object. If somebody is saying that duty for duty's sake, just you do because your duty is there, it appears very vague. क्यों करूँ यार मैं कोई काम? बताओ तो. बच्चा क्या होता है? बच्चा यूटिलिटेरियन होता है. बच्चे को कह दो पानी लाओ, टॉफी दूंगा, पानी लाएगा. यूटिलिटेरियन. अब बच्चे उसको दोनों, इट्स योर ड्यूटी बिकॉज आई एम कमांडिंग दैट you should serve the elders. नहीं, child is not going to listen to you. यूटिलिटेरियन. AC यूटिलिटेरियन. अब पता चला कि क्लास कर लिया, उसके बाद समोसा खाने का मन कर रहा है बिकॉज इट इज वेरी सेटिस्फाइंग. यूटिलिटेरियन. अब क्लास करने के बाद somebody sit on meditation, have a fasting. यूटिलिटेरियन है या moral ideas है? Simple. You will work for the satisfying the happiness of community or for sake of your own pleasure. इसलिए what is utilitarian? State is a utilitarian institution. It means maximize the pleasure. Then you can ask the question, state is also making a penalty. State is very powerful. So how I can say state utilitarian institution? State give penalty. But let's see count the penalty and count the pleasure. There will be more pleasure than penalty. State give more pleasure in comparison to penalty. State give 500 gram pleasure. 100 ग्राम पेनल्टी। भाई कुछ जो रकस फैलाते हैं उनको तो स्टेट पीटेगा ही पीटेगा। दैट पावर इज नेसेसरी। Therefore, let's see, Hobbes is saying everything modern. State is a machine. State utilitarian. Why you are having mobile? For getting any moral ideas? A utilitarian. Utilitarian. Why we wear sweaters while moving in the hills? Utilitarian. तभी आपको पता चला कि once once if आप कई बार स्टूडेंट को बार बार कहते रहो कि once you are putting so much hard labor you will get succeed, हाँ यस। और जो पता उनको यही नहीं बात, पढ़ते जाओ क्यों पढ़ते जाए भाई? प्लेजर। Pleasure is important. Therefore, Hobbes says that it is better to live in a state of nature or under authority. Authority, power. And question again arises that why we should obey the state of power? Then he is coming over social contract. Again, contract, very important term. But before arriving over contract, let's see what is the idea of his human nature. You go next heading. Egoist, rational human being. Next heading. Egoist, rational human being. Egoist, rational human being. First point. There are two schools of thought. Egoist, rational human being. There are two schools of thought. One says that there are two schools of thought. One says that Hobbesian projection of human being. There's a two school of thought. One says that Hobbesian projection of human being. Hobbesian projection of human being is a pessimist. Hobbesian projection of human being is a pessimist, since he treated human being as an egoist, selfish. He treated human being as an egoist and selfish. Egoist and selfish. Therefore, a state of nature is not a state of peace. Therefore, a state of nature is not a state of peace. A state of nature is not a state of peace, but it is a state of war against each other. A state of war against each other. Next point. But others argued that. But others argued that for Hobbes, human beings are rational, then egoist and selfish. Human beings are rational, then egoist or selfish. Human beings are rational, then egoist or selfish. And the term rational is more positive. Human beings are rational, then egoist or selfish. And the term rational is more positive. Term rational is more positive. A rational person may maximize his interest. A rational person may maximize his interest, but may not engage in quarreling with each other. May not engage in the quarreling with each other. May not engage in a quarreling with each other. And it is rational human being. It is rational human being who founded the idea of his state and government. It is rational human being. He founded the idea of his state and government. And Hobbes very famously said that human beings are mortal. Human beings are mortal. So mortal means is clear because it is not immortal. Human beings are mortal, and whatever created by human being. Human beings are mortal, and whatever is created by human being is also mortal. Human beings are mortal, and whatever is created by human being is also mortal. But if we apply our reason, whatever is created by human being is also mortal. But if we apply our reason, then we can find out every solution of problems of our society. If we apply reason, we can find out every solution of problems of our society. Let's see. Hobbes is also saying that there is a social problem. See, Plato is also saying there is a social problem. The way of solution is different. Because modern way of solutions are automatically different because Hobbes is a modern scholar. And then you can ask the question that which solution is more feasible? Everything depends upon the context. Next point. Hobbes describe about natural law underline. Hobbes described about natural law, which can be explained in form of a law of a prudence. Hobbes described about natural law, which can be explained in form of a law of prudence. Which can be explained in form of law of prudence. You know that's very important. If I'm saying law of prudence means it is a law of a reason, not written anywhere. See, what is law of reason? What is law of reason? If you are walking on the road, do not hurt others. Law of reason. Seek a peace. Law of reason. Very interestingly, it means it is a law of a reason or some set of morality. That is very interesting. It is said that Hobbes doesn't believe in ethics, morality, since he believes in science. He doesn't believe in religion, ethics, because he is a materialist. But the matter of fact is that if you look his natural law, it appears that he believes in ethics. Because what he suggests in natural law, but one thing is very clear, his natural law has nothing to be divine law, universal law, like a law of a medieval age. It's not divine. It's not universal. And you always remember, being ethical is always different to being a religious. Any person can become ethical without being a religious. Although Hobbes said that he never denied the existence of God. He had too much faith in God, but he has some doubt over the churches because he was looking for reforming churches. See, church was accumulating the power, concentration of power, and he was supporting the one center of power, that was a monarch. So it was matter of debate. And once he was getting threat from church, he was attending the prayers of church. Because of feebly to fear. Rest of the point tomorrow onwards. That's all for today. So please once read before coming to class, and rest of the part of Hobbes will continue tomorrow onwards.